This, you guys, is a big video. First of all, we got this, my signature bowl of triple corn miso ramen with juicy chicken chashu and chili crisp sesame butter. Of course, we'll go over how you can make these ramen at home, including how to make dashi from scratch, my favorite method of cooking chicken breast, and how you can whip up this super striking, quick pickled, bright red baby corn. This bowl of ramen will be unlike any you've ever had. But also, and that's what makes this video so special, for the very first time ever, some of you guys will be able to not just recreate, but even order and try this dish that we're making today in the comfort of your own home, thanks to the help of this video's sponsor, Get Voila. We'll get to all of that, but first let's talk about the different elements that make up my signature triple corn ramen. We have a broth, we have a tare for seasoning, an aroma oil for richness and flavor, and of course, a couple of flavorsome toppings to accompany a batch of freshly cooked noodles. But particularly with ramen, it's really important you have a vision for the recipe and how all the different elements should come together. I really like the ring and the idea of triple corn ramen to really show off one of my favorite ingredients from a couple of different angles. Keep that idea in mind because everything in this recipe revolves around it. First, let's work on our broth, the cornerstone of our soup base. I chose a chicken and dashi broth for its clear, gentle umami richness, which beautifully contrasts with the creaminess and sweetness of corn. In my last video, I praised instant dashi powder, but today we'll actually craft the real deal from scratch. Everything starts with kombu, a type of Japanese seaweed. On its surface, you'll actually be able to spot a white powderish residue. This is essentially natural MSG, so that guarantees a delicious foundational layer of savoriness in our stock. Chop the kombu into large pieces and place them in a pot of water over medium heat. Allow it to barely get to a simmer, then turn off the heat to avoid boiling, which could result in a pretty slimy texture. Now, with the heat off, introduce our next ingredient, katsuobushi. These are super thin flakes of smoked and dried tuna. A large handful of these very fragrant flakes added to the combo will infuse for 5 to 10 minutes, and that's all you need for a basic dashi. Then to complete our broth, mix the dashi with an equal amount of chicken stock before serving. I'm using leftover stock from a previous cooking session. Just hold off on combining them until you're ready to serve, as we'll need some of the dashi for other elements of this recipe. Now, even the best ramen broth will need a tare or a seasoning base to truly shine. That's how we add character and overtones to our soup base, and for this dish, that's also where the corn first comes in. Into a large stand mixer, add a whole large can of corn, both kernels and liquid. To help out with processing our tare, add in some dashi. Now add miso paste for a layer of rich deepness. I prefer white miso for its mellower taste and less intense funkiness than its red counterpart. Incorporate some mirin, which is sweetened rice wine, a dash of lime juice for brightness, and a squeeze of honey for a floral, syrupy note. A splash of light soy sauce adds a savory, salty dimension, just a little bit, as the miso already covers most of that flavor. And I also couldn't resist a sprinkle of MSG for that extra umami boost. You guys know me. Mix everything until thoroughly combined and smooth, then strain through a sieve to remove the fibrous corn kernel remnants. This step ensures a smoother texture in our delicious white miso and corn tare. Next, let's focus on our hero protein. I know this is not the most popular opinion, but I actually really like chicken breast. Done right and seasoned well, I think you should definitely give it a chance. I prepare it in a style somewhere between chashu and teriyaki. Begin with a marinade of dashi lightened with a bit of mirin. Add a splash of both light and dark soy sauce for savory depth and color. Add ginger juice for an earthy note and freshly grated garlic for some zing. Now grab a few medium-sized chicken breasts and marinate them in this mixture for 3 to 4 hours, but not more than 24. Once marinated, you want to pat the chicken very dry. That's a pretty crucial step. And now here's my simple yet effective method for tender chicken breasts. Heat a large skillet over medium-high heat. Add some clarified butter, then place the chicken breasts in it flat side down. Sear for about 1 to 2 minutes until they begin to char, but be cautious not to overburn. Cover the skillet tightly with a lid, reduce the heat to the lowest setting and cook covered for 10 minutes. Then you want to remove the skillet from the heat completely, but keep it covered for another 10 minutes to allow the chicken to continue cooking internally. With this method, you get super tender chicken breasts pretty much every time. Ist voll zart, Alter. Now, before we explore the remaining elements of this dish, guys, I want to introduce you to the sponsor that will deliver this dish that we're cooking today directly to your door, and that is Get Voila. Get Voila is on a mission to get high quality food from some of the best chefs, restaurants, and content creators accessible to everyone from the comfort of their home. How do they do it? By delivering frozen meals unlike any you've ever had. Before we started working together, they treated me to some of their products. I tried the pizza, of course I tried some of the ramen, I tried some of the signature dishes. It actually beat a lot of the food I've had at a regular restaurant. These guys are true pros at what they do. And starting today, you can order my signature triple corn miso ramen, the very recipe from this video. It arrives conveniently packaged like this. Simply microwave it for 10 minutes and there you go. I am literally the person that created this dish, so I can attest it tastes exactly as it should. There are a few tweaks from what you see in this video. For example, when you order this dish, you're actually gonna find some pork chashu inside, not chicken. And there's a very good reason for that. Actually, in my next upload, I'm gonna give you guys a full insight on how we developed this dish, from idea to finished product. But for now, please go follow the link in my video description to check out Get Voila. We're currently delivering across Germany, and if you get a 4-pack of my ramen, Get Voila is treating us to a 10% discount, which is a pretty sweet deal if you ask me. This is the first time you can try some of my food. I'm very excited. But now back to the recipe. We still have this stunning quick pickled baby corn that I absolutely adore, and guess what? It's not even that difficult to make. The key ingredient here is beet juice, which provides an earthy taste and a deep purple color. It pairs wonderfully with a shot of ginger juice, rounded off with some grated garlic. For acidity, add some white or apple cider vinegar, then season with salt, MSG, and plenty of sugar for that classic sweet and sour flavor. As the mixture comes to a boil over medium heat, prepare your baby corn, which, by the way, is literally just very young corn harvested early. I found that out way too late in my life. Drop that into our flavor base, then cook for about 5 minutes. Color and flavor will fully penetrate the corn, but most of this can also occur in the fridge. So simply place the corn into a container, cover, and let it infuse in the fridge for at least 4 hours. Now, speaking of further toppings, we've used corn for our tare, we've pickled baby corn, but now let's make it a true triple, as the name suggests, by roasting some corn. Simply season some drained canned corn with salt, garlic powder, and white pepper. Add a generous glug of oil, mix well, then spread it over a baking paper lined baking sheet and roast in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, rotating occasionally until the corn is slightly toasty and emits a hearty aroma. This is one of my favorite additions to any type of miso ramen. But every proper ramen requires a flavor oil, and this one is no exception. And again, this is not rocket science. In fact, it's almost too easy. To a small food processor, add a lot of room temperature butter, that will be our base. Add a few teaspoons of chili crisp or chili oil and some toasted sesame oil for that nutty note. Blend well until fully combined, then transfer to a small container, and there you have your spicy sesame butter, which is also fantastic for many other things other than this ramen. Now, when it comes to the ramen noodles themselves, we've covered that on the channel multiple times, and if you want to go all the way, feel free to check those videos out. But honestly, as I'm getting lazier with age, what I often find myself doing is simply cooking store-bought dried ramen noodles in baking soda water, which is a good enough workaround for me on most days. And by the way, if you're ordering these ramen on Get Voila, you're getting actual legit super high quality handmade ramen noodles, just so we're clear. Alright, now let the grand assembly begin. First, the combined soup base. The ratio I personally prefer here is 1 part tare to 5 parts of our 50-50 dashi chicken stock. Heat it up until it's piping hot and stir well to combine. Now, for your noodles, if they have cooled down and started sticking, simply bring them back to life by giving them a quick hot bath for a minute or two. Add our soup to a bowl, followed by our noodles, and here you can see me doing my best to achieve a clean noodle fold, which actually worked better than usual this time around. Add some of our roasted corn, a few slices of our chicken chashu, then the visually striking centerpiece of our ramen, an ear of our pickled baby corn. Next, the almost obligatory finely sliced scallions. Not to forget, a generous dollop of our chili butter. And last but not least, a fresh slice of lime. This not only looks pretty, but also adds a delightful citrusy fragrance and a touch of tang. I spent a long time perfecting this recipe, and I'm really proud of how it turned out and the fact that you can now recreate or even order it. And if you do, please share it on the gram, okay? I can't wait to see what you think. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna see you in the next video where we'll talk exactly about how we turned this bowl of ramen from an idea to a physical product.